Well, greetings, YouTube. Hopefully, coming in clearer than I usually do on these podcasts because, lo and behold, today I have a brand new headset and microphone. My previous one literally died on me after it was long since going and should have been replaced, but hey. Thus far, everyone I've talked to on Skype has said I come in a lot clearer, so hopefully that means my recordings here will be a lot clearer and coming in better. But I digress. I just finished watching the Terra Nova premiere, the latest incarnation of, well, that's an incarnation, but ideal thought up by Steven Spielberg, or at least he's producing it. But you can see his influence on this because it's very much it's Avatar meets Jurassic Park. For those of you unfamiliar with the show, it's basically in 2149 humanity has broken the planet. It's look at the darkest of darkest versions of cyberpunk future, and somehow they have time travel, and so they take so they start creating a colony back in the past, run by Stephen Lang's character, Taylor, who I'm very happy to see Stephen Lang in here. I was worried at first. I thought he was just going to be the big name celebrity or big name movie actor that you bring in for your first episode to have the name of premiere, and then you also kill them off. It's rather common. But no, it looks like he's actually sticking around for a while. I guess he's going to go with TV. I'm happy. I do like Stephen Lang, and I'm not just... I liked him well before I saw him in Avatar. I actually liked him back when he was picketing Gettysburg. He was one of the most eccentric guys in that movie, and that was an all-star cast. But getting back on point, yeah. So they travel back back into the past. Although I will say I'm happy that they address this, because at first I was thinking, okay, they're going into the past. How is that not messing up the future? And at first my idea was, Antarctica used to be further north, so maybe the idea is they set up their little. The idea I was thinking is they're just going to set up their colony in Antarctica, and then eventually they're going to build up an industrial base, and they're going to make a giant spaceship and fly off somewhere. That was my original thought, which I was also getting confused as why they didn't do that in the future. But it makes a little bit more sense. They do explain in there that it's an alternate timeline, so technically they're traveling, I guess, to an alternate dimension, but it's still Earth and in the past, so that way they don't mess up anything in the future. It's interesting. It's a nice little way, I guess, of getting out of that, and it also doesn't have the whole, we're not going to mess up the past, or this is a temporary thing, so we can build a spaceship and go into the future. I think that's what a lot of people were speculating. But it works. It works fairly well, and it's a very original-ish concept. As in, if you just look at most of the trash out there, which is always just another rehash, or it's a remake of a series. I mean, come on, they have Charlie's Angels coming out now. They've done Knight Rider before. Remakes just don't work. But it's a very original concept. It's not like they're doing a regular procedural show. It's not a regular medical procedural. Even House, which looks at the character of having a very unorthodox character, it's still a medical procedural show. It still follows the formula of a medical procedural, a cop procedural, or even although I do wish we had more space opera. It's a good original sci-fi concept, although it has kind of been done before. For those of you who are I don't know, in your 20s and 30s or older, you might remember a short-lived series back in the 90s called Earth 2 that had a very similar concept, actually down to the cause of why they were going to do colonization. In Earth 2, they decide to colonize another planet that's far off in the distance, and because the Earth is getting polluted. And there was, of course, they land there, and there's mysteries. There's possibly other groups that were there. There's weird spiritualistic / Native American substitute aliens. Unfortunately, that show only lasted one season and didn't really answer a whole lot, which is my worry with this show, because it has high production value. The CGI on the dinosaurs are not up to par with movie, but you don't expect that. You know what they're working with, and I guarantee you, we're not gonna. The one thing I always notice with these is we see less and less of the CGI creatures the further it goes, because it's always uh, cutting of costs. It seems. Maybe we'll get into season finale more dinosaurs. I hope we don't have that in here, but that's my prediction, because it's what tends to happen in these things. Even if you look at Battlestar Galactica, it seems like the new series that they had less and less CGI Centurions and such as the series went on, right up until like the end when they can have their all engrossing CGI battle. But you can tell the production value. I mean, they have custom-made trucks for this. I mean, normally you see a TV show and they paint a Humvee a different color, or they paint this half the time it's not even a Humvee. They get like a Jeep. But here they obviously have really customized some vehicles. Obviously, it's a basic frame it's a basic vehicle. They just had a new frame on top of it, or not, shell. But you can see the production value, and I guess the concept also works. Is all they really need is a field, and they produce some cheap props. I mean, everything's designed to look like it was modularly built on this colony. They're supposed to be kind of building it. They don't have vast, unlimited resources to build really advanced-looking and fancy-looking huts and stuff. So I guess that helps budget-wise. But I like the show. Of course, I like the show. Get my general impression. I've enjoyed it thus far. We'll say. Well, we'll see how it goes. If it takes a downturn or not. But it seems to work. Another thing I was worrying about as soon as they went in there is, or as soon as it started, was how are they going to keep a conflict going in this series? Is there just going to be a dinosaur issue of the week or something along those lines? Which it might sound good at first, but you can only do so many episodes with that, and it really starts to get old. But they do bring in an antagonist group, of course they always do, called the Sixers, which are a breakaway colony of a group of people that came in like a sixth wave of colonization, because there's continual waves, continual new people arriving to Terra Nova. And one of these groups was apparently, they all for one group, and they're from, apparently they might have some sort of mysterious benefactors, and they have broken away before. I guess they were planning on launching a coup, but they were found out beforehand, broke away, stole some equipment, and set up their own colony somewhere else. So I guess that'll work, and there's kind of an uneasy truce between the two, or truce. So we'll see how that goes. Although, again, that's kind of actually similar to Earth too. I really should look into the writers and such and see if anyone has connections with that show, because there are a lot of damn similarities between these two. As for character-wise, I like the characters thus far. You have a rebellious cop, played by called Jim Shannon, who's played by Jason O'Mara. You have his scientist wife, who was, I should point out, he snuck into this place. I don't know how he was able to accomplish that, really, even though they show it. It's still like, you'd figure they'd have tighter security than that. His scientist wife, his eldest daughter, his son, and his younger daughter, which they sneak in. And this is like, these guys are such big rule breakers, the first thing. Not only does he completely sneak in and escape from jail, nonetheless. Yeah, he's a cop that was imprisoned. But they sneak in an extra, because they're only allowed 2 children. So he sneaks in a third. And they're pretty much, after they come through, they're like, okay, we're fine with that. You figure they would have thrown him in a brig or something. But no, apparently they're okay. Alright then. The son, though, I must say, Josh, is annoying as hell. They really, actually, the kids, it's actually kind of, they're too stock with the characters here. At least with the immediate family, it's way too stock. With the kid is the son is the rebellious, doesn't read anything. I mean, the guy's going to the past, and they constantly make reference to the fact that he doesn't know absolutely anything. Yes, I know that's supposed to be, so we as the audience have a character that we have an excuse to go, well, what's that? Oh, you didn't read the pamphlets? Well, it's this fruit, we can't eat this fruit yet because our enzymes haven't developed yet. That type of stuff. And yeah, it's a way for the audience to be told information, but at the same way, the character then becomes annoying and too much of it, and it's too stereotypical to have the son be that. I mean, it's almost like we have the Simpsons here. You have, somewhat to a degree. I mean, you have blue collar, Jim there as Homer. You've got the somewhat smarter wife. Okay, well, Marjorie's a housewife, so I guess the wife does kind of stand out there. But I mean, look at the kids. You have a Maggie. They have a younger daughter. You've got rebellious Bart who doesn't do good in school or anything, and then you got the super intelligent daughter or older daughter. It's the same setup as The Simpsons, and it gets annoying because The Simpsons is a comedy; it works that way. But with this, you get annoyed real quick with the son and like his group of rebellious youngish friends who I'm not sure what age they're supposed to be. I'm not sure if they kind of act like they're in high school, maybe early like freshman type year of college age range. But like they're supposed to have jobs and be living on their own in this place, except for the son. They kind of run off into the woods. They have a secret runoff into the woods and stuff. And it's like and I guess that would work better if they weren't. You can obviously tell that the actors playing them are older. They're in their later 20s, shall we say. And thus, you kind of look at them and you're like, you guys, it looks like they should be past doing that kind of stupid stuff. And it makes it's very Hollywood stock, I guess is the way I'm saying with those characters. And it makes you very annoying and kind of. They have said that one of the major characters this season is going to die. I hope it's the son, because he's the most annoying character I have. There is. He really is annoying, stock, rebellious, and emo. Yeah, everything you hate. I'm not sure why people don't get, or at least why writers and Hollywood doesn't get that people find these type of characters annoying. They're not relatable. They really aren't. I think at one time they may have been relatable and they were popular during that period, but hey, it's now the 21st century. We're moving on. Although I somewhat think it might be Stephen Lang who they wind up killing off, just because he does movies, but at the same time that would kind of ruin the mystique, because he's the big unknown factor. Because what they're trying to do with him is he might be all like we're doing a new start, or there might be something with the Sixer type group that they're saying that he's hiding a truth, that he's trying to control the future, or they're trying to control the future. I don't know how that would work, since they stated outright that they're not. They're in an alternate timeline, unless they reverse that later on and say no. We are. I don't know. But there's a big element of whether he's really a bad guy and has some ulterior motives or not. They mention that he has a son that's off in the woods and apparently leaving like carvings on cave walls and stuff with some sort of equations. Obviously, not much explained there, but it's obviously baiting for later on in the season. Which might work, or it might get very old. We'll have to see how the audience goes, because there is a problem with doing that. Is if the audience goes, no, I like this character too much. If he's doing something that the plot says should be nefarious, but we're like, no, I like this guy too much, I'm going to side with him. There is always that problem, and then that's a big risk you do with having a plot line like that. To put a similarity, I think there was who was it? Oh yeah. In Fallout 3, a lot of people who played Fallout 3 said, you know what, I kind of want to support for those of you who haven't played it, I kind of want to support the Enclave, which were the big bads there. And really, you were able to support other bad guy factions, and you were kind of like, in that game, because it had a lot of choice, a lot of people said, no, I kind of actually support these guys. They seem to have at least some sort of a plan. Everyone else doesn't really seem to. Or, as some people would say, if you played recently the latest Deus Ex game, which they do, at least that one, they have you do a wide choice, but kind of most people are not supposed to side with the boss in that one. It's a complicated. I don't want to get too far into it because I don't know if everyone here has played that stuff, but it's a risk you take. You can easily wind up having people where, yeah, plot wise, you're supposed to not like what they're doing, but you like the character so much you want to side with them, and then you kind of find a show annoying because they don't. Or they could, or hopefully they take an even stronger step and make it like he isn't doing something crazy, that he really is committed to as a deal. He's making hard choices. They're not the most popular, utopianistic perfect choices, but he's has the best intentions. Because there's obviously something up with this group. They all came as in one group faction. It's not like a bunch of people are dissenting with this ideal. Obviously, this is all little stuff they're seeding so they can reveal stuff throughout the series. And I'll probably be tuning in. Maybe, we'll see. I'm not the best when it comes to watching television stuff. I am much more reliable on the internet. Maybe I'll be catching this on Hulu then. But I would keep this in mind. I would check it out. I know, and actually, I think this is my first television review, so yay. I probably won't have too much of this. But yeah, I do recommend it. And I don't think I can say that much more. So signing off. And I hope you guys like the new audio. Hopefully it sounds better.